All right, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. Right here, we got a special broadcast. We actually have the executive vice president of one of the best independent promotions currently running here in Canada for wrestling. That's right. We have Jack Kilby of Great North Wrestling right here. This man is a phenomenal individual. He has done so much amazing stuff just for the wrestling community in general. And we definitely have a lot to talk about. But of course, how are you actually doing this evening, Jack?
I'm flattered by the introduction. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, and I am doing very, very well tonight. Thank you, sir.
I got to say, it's definitely crazy hot down here in Canada, man. So I'm hopeful you got some AC or you're keeping cool over there.
In the Great North Wrestling Castle / Armory, everything is nice and cool thanks to the wonders of air conditioning. Hopefully the government lets us keep it.
Hopefully as well, you know what I mean? If they're going to take it away, at least let them take it away around September. At least then you can enjoy it for the summer months.
I couldn't agree more.
But Jack, I do know you're a very busy individual, man. So of course, I'm not going to keep you too long on this Friday evening. But I was wondering, because obviously, you know, you've been in the wrestling industry for a while. I've worked security, which we're going to talk about that. But I was wondering, how did yourself and Hannibal actually first get connected? And of course, what is the story behind you actually joining the wrestling business? Because I know you have a hand in so many amazing avenues within the wrestling community.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where I think those of us that have a passion for the business, it starts in childhood. And without a word of a lie, I've been a fan of professional wrestling since I was 5, which is a very long time ago now. And I remember one of my earliest memories is watching on a black and white TV the Vancouver All-Star promotion, which was Canada's first nationally syndicated wrestling show, and just being mesmerized. And from there, my interest sustained and grew to the point where I was, of course, given my location in Ontario, we got WWF for the longest time. And then eventually late at night got WCW, Jim Crockett Promotions, their syndicated shows, and came across the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and the Four Horsemen, and I was hooked. And went on throughout my my high school years, and I eventually wrote back in the day, the Stampede Wrestling show was on TSN, and wrote them and said, I'd like to train to become part of the business, and was accepted. And I excitingly told my father at the time, I'm going to go out and become a wrestler. And he said, well, that's wonderful, but who's going to pay for it? And I said, well, you. And he said, no, you're not. You're going to get your degree first, and then look at it. And life happens, and I did not go out there, but my interest in the business didn't ever wane, even as an adult. And I eventually hooked up with a guy by the name of Doug Casson, who I've interviewed on the Hannibal TV. And he worked for All-Star Calgary and did enhancement work for the WWF. And he actually put me through my paces and trained me. And we did some minor independent work, and basically kind of lapsed for a while. And then I started becoming aware of Great North Wrestling within the 15 years that we've been in existence, and reached out to Hannibal via social media and said, do you have any work for a guy? I've done security, et cetera, et cetera. And then I came on for shows and ran his security operation, and the rest is history. And last fall, he asked me if I would be interested in taking that knowledge that I've learned and assuming the executive vice president position of the company, which I did. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
And especially as well, when you said just growing up, obviously watching on the aerial to wanting to go to wrestling school, but then your father wouldn't let you. It's crazy to actually see how life pans out, because your passion for wrestling still pursued in a career. It might be a backstage thing, because I do know that you have made it into the ring and have, swung some title belts around that we're going to get into later on in the interview. But it's still really cool to hear that story about how you're passionate, but it still led you down the exact same road. It just shows if you're passionate about something, no matter what, you're destined for it.
Oh, 100%. And even in my shoot career, which is winding down in the next few years within the criminal justice system, I was quite open about my fandom in wrestling and applied some of the psychology to wrestling to my job. Believe it or not, I have a book coming out that I can't release until I'm retired, but it discusses how my fandom and love of the business and some of the concepts inherent I integrated into my management position in the government, and quite successfully. So it's been something that has been a passion of mine ever since I can remember. And I've made that observation myself that, wow, what an interesting ride it's been. It was almost inevitable, given my passion for the industry, that this would happen. And now it's just all coming together. And I couldn't be more excited about this company.
And also as well, because I know you, like, obviously we all know that you're the executive vice president of Great North Wrestling, and we just spoke about how, you earned that position. But what is it like actually running this company and actually being the face of it? Because realistically, like, you're the individual that, everyone comes to when they have an issue, whether it's storyline based, whether it's the kayfabe part, or even behind the scenes. Like, you're the individual everyone comes to. Like, do you find it overwhelming at times, or do you actually find it just like, do you embrace it?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. The learning curve is significant. A lot of fans, myself included, thought, I could do this. I could, I could plot out a show. I could do the creative. I could book. And yeah, we do bring a lot of good ideas to the table, but there are so many impediments that you don't think of. Be it dealing with venues, be it dealing with talent, be it dealing with intangible last minute problems that pop up, that once you deal with that and then overcome it, it does become much more comfortable. But I'm also lucky in that my partner, Devin Hannibal Nicholson, has been there for me every step of the way, and we are truly a partnership in that we talk just about every day, bouncing ideas back and forth. And he has the business end of things pretty much down to a complete science. So if I don't know what I'm doing, I go, what do I do here? And he's like, here's what you do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we get through it. And as evidenced by the May 6th show, we had some significant last minute issues with travel and getting talent to the show, which is a perennial problem for promoters. And knock on hardwood, everyone made it and showed up, and the show was a creative and a financial success, as it was our first big show back since COVID, really. And I'm just very excited to provide the fans with that GNW product that they're familiar with. And we have great fans all over Ontario and to Quebec that they expect certain things from Great North Wrestling, and that's hard-hitting, realistic athletic action. But also I'm trying to incorporate ongoing storylines into our shows, so it's not just disparate, isolated events, so that the fans can become as invested in the product as we are, and stand out from some of the, I'm not going to throw shade at other promotions, but mimicking say AEW or what have you is not what we're about. We have a base that are heavily invested and interested in traditional pro wrestling, and that's what we want to deliver. But also I personally believe in making new stars, bringing new talent in, and not to sound like Mr. McMahon, but giving opportunities.
And I got to say as well, you definitely earned that right, because I will say this: my very first GNW show was way back, I believe in like 2014, way before I ended up even getting married. When I was The Bachelor, I saw right in Brockville. It was Road Warrior Animal, God bless his soul, and Honky Tonk Man was my first ever GNW show. And literally, once I stepped through those doors, watched the show, and the show was done, I was like, man, that sucks. Not I didn't when I said it sucks, I sucked that it was over. I was like, I want that again. It was some of the best independent wrestling I've ever seen, and ever since then, I've been going to every single show as humanly possible. And I think I've been to probably a good over 20, maybe 30 GNW shows, and you guys never disappoint.
Thank you for that. Well, that's an important point, in that if you're running what they refer to as just spot shows here and there with no identifiable, I don't want to say formula, but we have a strategy for our shows that is a throwback to the golden era when I was a kid of the late 80s and then into the Attitude Era, where story and characters were important. And I think that's what hooks the audience and wants, it creates the want to come back, and distinguishes GNW from other groups that have different philosophies. Not saying they're wrong and we're right, but this is what our brand is, and we know what our brand is and what our fans expect and appreciate, and we aim to deliver that now more than ever.
And also, as well, the one thing I love that you guys incorporate as well in your guys' shows is you always bring a legend that someone grew up watching. And I've met so many wrestlers just due to your guys' events. And I mean, there's people that I couldn't even believe that I would ever get the opportunity to meet, from like Gangrel to Shelton Benjamin to, like, you know what I mean? Like Nunzio, which is coming up and coming up in Smith Falls. Like, I mean, there's so many names. I met 30 plus wrestlers at your show. So trying to name them off the top is hard, but I got them all in a book.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the thrill for me as a booker and the EVP, is to try to, knowing that is our trademark, trying to continue that with individuals, legends that are loved and known by the audience, and delivering on that, and also bringing the future of professional wrestling to the table as well, such as I can't put over Magna McLaren enough. There is a future, bona fide future superstar, and he gets the experience of working with the legends, and the fans win as well. We have everything on the table: women's matches and legends appearances and matches, and there's a lot of good independent talent out there that just needs the proper platform to get over with the audience and become stalwarts in their own right. And right now, it's hard to argue against the fact that GNW is very successful. May 6th in Ottawa was an incredibly successful event, and Smith Falls, we're doing extremely well there too with the pre-sale. It's a lovely facility, the Smith Falls Memorial Center. Very ardent, hardcore fans, and I'm getting a real sense of positivity and a buzz in the air that GNW is back.
And also, when speaking of stellar wrestlers, well, the one individual I really like seeing that's actually always a part of your guys' company is Jeremy Prophet, your guys' current GNW heavyweight champion. Such an amazing specimen, as they say within wrestling. Like, I'm going to take one out of JR's book. When he slides into that ring, you know it's going to be one hell of a slobber knocker.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy Prophet has been a stalwart of Great North Wrestling. He never, ever fails to deliver. He is a superb athlete. He can do high flying. He can do mat based. I know you caught the match with Greek God Papadon on May the 6th. Greek God Papadon, another tremendous talent, newly brought in from New York State, a man that I've known and watched his career for a while, and they put on one hell of a show. But I will say this: Jeremy is going to be extremely tested. I've got a bit of a scoop for yourself and the audience here, in that I am going to make official a Canadian heavyweight title match between Jeremy Prophet and Magnum McLaren for July the 15th in Smith Falls. And there are stipulations attached to that. I don't know if you've happened to see our G&W president, Andrews, and some of the comments he's made about myself. Well, I'm going to respond to those Sunday at 5 p.m. on the Hannibal TV, and I'm going to have Magnum McLaren there to respond to some of the things that Mr. Andrews said about him as well. But that match will be a highlight of the show, and it is one of our co-main events. So Jeremy Prophet, I have 100% respect for him and his abilities. He's made some appearances on AEW recently, so he is definitely well regarded in the industry. But I believe that the young upstart future superstar Magnum McLaren is going to take him to the limit, and the fans are going to be the winners with that one.
And I got to say, I'm super stoked to actually be there front and center to see it. The only complaint I have is those are both two amazing wrestlers that I'm both a fan of. The only complaint I have is I don't know who I'm going to be cheering for in that match. But I guess I have until the 15th to choose who I want to see at least win.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was doing some promotional work in Smith Falls in the last month and a half, and that includes, talking to the folks on the street, handing out posters, putting posters up. And I will really emphasize the fact that Jeremy Prophet is a huge fan favorite in Smith Falls. I had no less than 6 people, when they saw the poster, say, wow, Jeremy Prophet's on the show. And it was like 100% positive feedback. So I think Jeremy might have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the fan support in Smith Falls. But as you know, Magnum brings the other factor to play, and that's that 7-foot tall Big Daddy Diamond, a huge man in his corner. So it's going to be everything that I think it's going to be, which is a 5-star match.
And also, Jack, when we're actually talking about statements, I know you mentioned you're going to be doing a statement very soon, but speaking of statements, last show in Ottawa, Ontario, you actually surprised all the fans in attendance when you actually came out to the ring and blindsided Aces and Eights Quebec's own Wes Briscoe. Come July 15th, as Executive VP, what are you going to be doing about the situation in Smith Falls? And of course, if Wes is actually watching this interview right now, do you have anything to say to him? And of course, does he have to watch his back when he crosses Jack Kilby come July 15th?
Well, I think with all due respect, sir, there's been a lot of confabulation and misinformation, disinformation about what happened there. Clearly, I don't like to get involved physically in matches or encounters, but what I saw was this. I saw a group of thugs, the Aces and Eights Quebec, surrounding the ring. I saw Wes Briscoe, who I'm not sure whether he had a case of food poisoning before, but he was clearly a little bit unsteady on his feet, and he had a moment in the match where he clearly slipped and bumped his head, and it was downhill from there. I came out because I saw odds that were completely unfair. And in this position, I'm committed to giving the fans exactly what they pay for, giving them their money's worth. And they really wanted to see a fair contest decided when it's one-on-one, man-on-man. I went out there, and you'll note I not only barred the entire cadre of the Aces and Eights, but Big Daddy Diamond also had to go back to the back, and I stayed out there to make sure that there wasn't any more tomfoolery, shenanigans, offbeat shenanigans on the side. And I only interjected myself when I thought that a foreign object was going to be used. And clearly, if you rewind the tape, Wes, because of his earlier disorientation, maybe the food poisoning, he clearly fell into the belt that I was holding and went down. But because there was absolutely no untoward interference. Magnum pinned Wes 1-2-3, clean, center of the ring, and has now earned the right to challenge for the Canadian title.
And I gotta say as well, there was a lot of individuals in that ring. So I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many angles that you could actually watch. Maybe he did slip. I don't know. I personally didn't see it, but like I said, a lot of individuals in the ring. But hopefully we had to see Wes Briscoe back, and hopefully the little goose egg on his head gets a little healed up. But he's a tough competitor, son of Gerald Briscoe. So we definitely will see him in the ring, hopefully.
Yeah, taking nothing away from Wes, I understand he's convalescing in Florida still. Hopefully, he does return to fighting form in the future, and we can look at having him back again. But I will take this opportunity briefly to address the 400-pound elephant in the room, and that would be President Andrews. I clearly made a statement about the situation, and he took it upon himself to counter that and cast aspersions not only on myself, which I guess comes with the role, but he cast aspersions on Magnum McLaren and Big Daddy Diamond. So we've got a situation that we're in a position that is not tenable. Mr. Andrews, President Andrews, needs to have his role reclarified, and both Magnum and I will be addressing that situation on Sunday at 5 p.m. on the Hannibal TV. And at the end of it, Mr. Andrews will see just how serious I am. He threw out some stipulations there, and I'm going to respond to those, and not only respond to those, but I'm going to up the ante. And he's going to learn that he serves at my discretion and my pleasure, and I am the true power in Great North Wrestling in 2023.
I gotta say, I am, for one, I am actually happy to say that I will be in the stands and completely away from the ring, because I have a feeling President Andrews is probably going to get what's coming to him, and I'm just super happy that I won't be in the crosshairs.
Well, it heartens me when the show was over and people were responding on social media that many intelligent wrestling fans commented on the fact that Mr. Andrews, President Andrews for now, was clearly overstepping his bounds with his comments about myself and Magnum. So one way or another, we're going to get this put to bed. The executive committee of Great North Wrestling, as I mentioned about a month ago in my statement, I was fully cleared, exonerated of any wrongdoing whatsoever, and yet President Andrews seems to consider that to be somehow not bona fide, and he's going to learn that Jack Kilby means business.
And speaking of meaning business, you actually have not one but two legendary former WWE legends and one former ECW legend actually going to be in attendance, by the names of Nunzio and, of course, Davey Boy Smith Jr., son of the iconic, legendary British Bulldog. I was wondering if you can actually tell us what capacity and what roles are they going to play come July 15th. And of course, I honestly know the answer to this, but the people that are watching probably have this question. Will there be meet and greets before or after, or even during intermission, so the fans can actually get that opportunity to shake not one, but two former WWE legends' hands?
Yes, sir. We're having a meet and greet on July the 15th, starting at 6 p.m. The doors will open. That will be a full hour. We will have a 15-minute intermission in there as well. And both Nunzio and Harry Smith, the British Bulldog Jr., will be available for photographs, meet and greet, signings, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting about, and I'll talk about Harry in a second, but Nunzio is an individual that I met approximately 10 years ago. He was part of the Hardcore Road Trip ECW in Canada shows in London, Ontario, where I was serving in a security capacity. And I kept in touch with Nunzio sporadically, and he really doesn't. He's in great shape. He's a Sicilian shooter. His wrestling appearances are very few and far between, but he reached out to me and said, somebody has to deal with the Blood Hunter. Somebody has to step up, be counted, because those that are familiar with the Blood Hunter's work and that match with James Storm, it wasn't pretty. It was brutal and it was devastating. And he said, I'm going to come to Canada, to Great North Wrestling, make my debut, and I'm going to answer that challenge. And I will say one thing about Nunzio overall. Blood Hunter definitely has the size advantage, but Nunzio is a very skilled veteran. He has a mixed martial arts background. They call him the Sicilian shooter for a reason. So I am personally, out of many of the matches that are top notch on that card, I'm really going to be watching that one because the Blood Hunter is stacking bodies up again. James Storm was the first and perhaps a long line to come, but Nunzio is, you got to give him credit. Not many folks are in this day and age stepping up to wrestle the Blood Hunter. So that will be a huge match. And the Blood Hunter, I'm told, will also have a big surprise with him in Smith Falls. I can't provide any more information other than that, but you're going to want to see what that is. As for Harry Smith, a former GNW heavyweight champion and WWE tag team champion multiple times, actually, I think it's twice. He is also a competitor in mixed martial arts. He is perhaps one of, if not the most premier unsigned talents out there today. And with Carlito, unfortunately, or fortunately for him, I guess, he agreed to appear on the card, but was signed by the WWE. Hannibal broke that news on one of his daily wrestling news updates, which is another reason why fans, if you're not subscribed to the Hannibal TV, go out there now, subscribe, click the notification button and watch these things because we have breaking news quite a bit. But Harry is coming to Smith Falls as well, and he will be wrestling on the show. And that man is in the prime of his career. He's impressive on so many levels. So I feel fortunate that he agreed to come to Smith Falls and be part of the new Great North Wrestling.
And I can definitely attest to exactly what you're saying, just compared to Harry. I had the opportunity to meet him at one of your former GNW shows, and I will say it's one of the nicest individuals I've ever met. Personally, I wouldn't piss him off because obviously, mixed martial arts, but if you meet him, stay on his good side. He's one of the most nicest individuals you could meet. And plus, he's the British Bulldog's son, so he already has that lineage already to him.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Harry. You hit the nail on the head. One heck of a very nice guy. And we're hoping to bring him back in again in the future and make him a staple of Great North Wrestling again. See, this is the exciting part. We're dealing with a company that has a rich history, a big library, but we're really vibrant. We're renewed. We're excited. We're engaged. It's my top priority. And we're going to continue to give the fans that quality GNW product that they expect and continue to bring in some older faces, some new faces, but most of all, give the fans what they pay for.
And I will say this for a fact. I'm super excited to actually shake Nunzio's hand. When I actually saw that he was announced, I'm a huge ECW fan. I grew up on that product. I think Paul Heyman created one of, if not one of the best companies that deserves so much more, just so much more praise than what it's actually getting. But when I saw one half of the full-blooded Italians, I was like, oh, it's on now. Because if you just hear ECW, he's already been through hell and back. So he has no issues bringing that to the Blood Hunter either.
Oh, precisely. And you're going to want to stay tuned in the weeks and months to come. I'm going to give you another scoop here. We are signed to come to Renfrew on September the 3rd. That's a Saturday. And we will be bringing in another ECW legend alumni that I'm not going to mention now, but I share your love of ECW. I've had the pleasure of working with many of the talents, and you're not going to be disappointed at the match that we're looking into for September the 3rd. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to also just highlight a couple of things. One, we're bringing in a female talent by the name of Vipress, who is out of Los Angeles, who has quite a buzz in the United States. The fans are going to want to check her out as we rebuild the women's division in GNW. And a match that I'm really looking forward to is a rematch from Ottawa, where the monstrous Persephone Vice will be facing former GNW champion, women's champion Jessica Black again. This time it's going to be 2 out of 3 falls. Fans who watch the Hannibal TV will no doubt have seen the vicious backstage attack that Persephone did to Jessica, so she's out for revenge. And in addition to several other events, I know locally the fans in Smith Falls are looking forward to the local hometown hero, that being Hardcore Steve McDaniel against Bruiser. And that is going to be a tables match, meaning the first man who, sorry, I get that incorrect, and the Bruiser corrected me before. The man who puts the other man through a table in the center of the ring will be the winner. In the center of the ring, there will be no pinfalls, there will be no submissions. That will be the rules. And a lot of fans in Smith Falls are behind Hardcore Steve. And the Bruiser, you may have caught an interview I did with him on the Hannibal TV. He doesn't care. He wants to really, really take it to Hardcore Steve and vice versa. So I'm personally looking forward to that one as well.
And I will say, when you actually said no rules, no pinfalls, no submissions, the first thing that popped in my head was just strictly carnage. I had the opportunity to see McDaniels actually wrestle for the first time your last event in Ottawa, and he gave me that ECW Balls Mahoney kind of vibe. So, I mean, I feel just by watching that interview, I really feel that he's going to bring it to the table, and not just a Bruiser, but also he's in his hometown, so he has a hometown advantage. So Bruiser, you might want to stay away from the tables as much as possible, because he's going to put you through one.
Well, what I found, as I said in the interview with him, when I watched Steve put Bruiser through the first table, it literally went boom and it exploded. It was really, really, really jarring. And all that notwithstanding, this is a match about respect. And for some reason, Bruiser is not giving Hardcore Steve what he deserves. I mean, come on. Bruiser may have got the victory in Ottawa, but that match could have gone either way. And I think Bruiser and I told him this off air after our interview, he's really underestimating the hometown advantage, because that man, having been in Smith Falls, they all seem to love Steve. So I'm very much looking forward to that one.
And also, because obviously we spoke about the amazing matches. We spoke about, just the statements that are going to be issued, what we're going to do, what you're going to be doing about Andrew, and all this amazing stuff that's going down July 15th. But for the individuals that might not know, can you tell us the bell times, the door open times again? And of course, where can we actually secure ourselves some tickets to come out and see this amazing night of hard-hitting, studded action?
Well, the meet and greet will be at 6:00. The doors will open at the Memorial Center in Smith Falls. Bell time will strictly be at 7. We'll have an intermission. Fans can have 2 options now. The tickets have been on sale at the box office in the Memorial Center, but you can also get them at ticketweb.ca. That's ticketweb.ca. And I know a lot of promoters say this about, go grab them now, et cetera, but I am very, very pleased with how the community is supporting this event so far. The pre-sale is excellent, and we are going to have Smith Falls traditionally for GNW is a very hot crowd, and I see this as no different. In fact, just more, if not headier, excitement. So it's at ticketweb.ca or at the door at the Smith Falls Memorial Center.
And I gotta say, Jack, is there, before we actually part ways here this evening, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's broadcast? Like anything else you do still want to talk about, address, or promote? Well, we still got you here live, not only on Facebook and YouTube, but 99.9 FM as well.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity that you've provided here to talk to the fans and raise awareness for this event. I think it's important to once again stress that GNW is back. The summer hashtag GNW Summer 2023 is rolling on, but we are planning several events into the fall and the winter, and the fans that support us, we wouldn't be doing this. It wouldn't be possible to do this without you. So I want to say on behalf of myself and Hannibal that we really appreciate that, and we'll continue our pledge to provide the quality pro wrestling product that you expect. I would also encourage fans, once again, subscribe to thehannibaltv.com, our massively successful YouTube channel, for updates regarding this show and other shows, but also those very interesting personality interviews that we do quite frequently, because that platform is what separates us from other companies. And again, no disrespect, but it gives you an idea when you've got 363,000 subscribers, just how big a venture this is. And we want to continue to build on that, GNW and the Hannibal TV, and the fans will be surprised some of the things that we have planned for the future and where we're going to go. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Again, check out ticketweb.ca or grab your tickets at the door. I really enjoy myself meeting the fans, saying hello, because I am a fan, and a lifelong fan, and I share that passion. And I would not be doing this if I did not love the business and enjoy providing a quality, entertaining product that the fans expect from GNW.
And I got to say, Jack, thank you for just being a fan and doing this for all us fans, first and foremost, because like I told you before we even went live, I've been to so many GNW shows and I met so many people that I grew up idolizing that I got the opportunity to enjoy. I mean, I got to meet Road Warrior Animal before he passed away, God bless his soul, but I actually got that because of companies like yourselves, because of GNW. So thank you for just bringing the wrestlers and the entertainment and joy to our faces, man, because I have an actual photo album of pure just photos of amazing wrestlers, and I still look at it and be like, damn, like, how did I meet these people? Like, you know what I mean? And that's because of your amazing company. So Jack, Hannibal, I know you're watching. Thank you for just doing what you guys do for the wrestling community, because as a fellow fan, man, I'm just excited to see what comes next. And the only disappointing thing about GNW is at the end of the show has to end sometime. That's the only thing to me that is disappointing, is when the show ends and the lights go off.
Well, again, I really appreciate that, sir. And before I go, I just want to remind the fans to tune in to the Hannibal TV live this coming Sunday at 5 p.m. I will have Magnum McLaren on, and I'm going to do a piece of business that is necessary with respect to President Andrews. I'm going to have a huge announcement that will be particularly poignant given your comments, and the fans are not going to want to miss it, because it's going to set the tone for just how important that match where Magnum challenges Jeremy Prophet for the Canadian title will be. But as for today, again, really appreciate your support and having us on. Look forward to seeing you there.
Hey, most definitely, Jack. Thank you so much again, and definitely have yourself an amazing night. And of course, happy candidates to yourself and everybody else in the Great North Wrestling family as well.
Absolutely. Happy Canada Day. Take care. All the best. And fans, don't you dare miss it.
You already know. We'll see you July 15th.
Thank you.